My name is Jerome Ferry. My cameraman is Alan Eggers. We're doing a video interview with Eliza Kesler, a role model in and around Cole College in Cedar Rapids for many years. Roby, tell us what year you were born and where you were born.
I was born in 1909 on 15th Street, northeast, across from Polk School.
And what was your parents'?
My father was a professor at Cole.
What was his name?
Charles T. Hickok.
Your mother? What was her
Nellie,
name?
and she was on the school board later. Nellie Turner Hickok.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
I had one sister, 5 years older, who died when she was in her 30s.
I'm going to ask you for a lot of your memories in your early childhood in Cedar Rapids. Where'd you go to grade school?
Johnson. I had a zoo in the backyard, so I was pretty busy with my zoo. I had everything, all kinds of things that lots of children contribute to it. We had cages and transferred toads and frogs and snakes and things like that.
Was you somewhat of a tomboy?
Well, I would say so. Yeah, I was a high jumper. Still, I don't do that very often now. That way, anyway.
Did you pursue that in high school?
No.
Jumping?
No.
What do you remember about Union Station and the railroads in Cedar Rapids?
I remember the smell of it. It was awfully exciting to go down there. It was so empty, too, and smelled.
Do you remember any important people passing through town?
Yes. No, wait a minute. Yes,
Presidents or...
I remember my family being pretty excited about somebody. Now, let me think. I may come back to it. I don't know.
Do you recall any politicians ever coming through town and standing on the back of the train? And
Oh, yes, I can see them, but I don't know who they were.
You can't remember their names. Do you remember the trolleys?
Oh, sure. The Beaver Park streetcar, you mean? Grand Avenue streetcar? Oh, yeah. Then you could get a transfer. Yeah.
Did you and the folks take advantage of the trolleys?
Well, we didn't have a car.
Oh.
My father was a college professor, and he didn't have a car for a while. It cost money, you know.
He couldn't afford one.
No, he couldn't afford it. And so we took a streetcar, and we'd hear it coming. We'd run. All of us run down Beaver Avenue to get the Beaver Park streetcar. Oh, they were pretty important.
Do you remember horse and buggies, or was that before you?
Oh, sure. We had a sleeping porch there on Fifth Avenue, and our neighbors had a horse and buggy and a barn, and I'd be in the sleeping porch, and I'd hear them come in, and the horse stomping down the driveway to the barn.
The clippity clop.
Yep.
Do you remember the first automobile your dad had?
Oh, sure, yes. It was an Oldsmobile. And we would all sing the song, "Come Away With Me, Lucille," in my merry Oldsmobile. We always sang that all the time.
Did you have a pet name for it?
Lucille.
Lucille?
Yeah.
Where did I get Dolly from?
Well, that was a horse. That was, my father had a horse. He was very fond of Dolly. Dolly was very much with us in thought.
Did you have the horse on your...
No, we didn't have, don't remember we had the horse. It was before my day.
Okay.
And Daddy, I think he called every horse Dolly.
Do you remember the mud roads?
Oh, sure. Getting stuck. Oh, yes. And getting out in them. Oh, yeah. Very much so.
With your good clothes on?
Yeah. And losing a shoe or two in the mud, yeah. Do you remember them?
No.
You people are so young. I forget.
Do you recall a section of pavement out between Cedar Rapids and Mount Vernon? It was called the Seedling Mile.
Sure, the Seedling Mile. And then we always said we would be in the mud and then get into this road. And I always said the same thing. It was rejoice into gladness. My father always got a kick out of that. Rejoice into gladness when we got out of that road.
Did you ever drive out there on Sundays just to
yes.
drive on the
Yeah, of
new
course.
pavement?
And back, yes.
Wave at everybody.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
How about floods? Do you recall any? There was flood in 1929. Did that stick out in your mind? One of the great floods in Cedar Rapids.
Oh, I know about that.
You
but-
would have been about, what, 20 years old? You may have been in college.
Yeah, but I was here. I went to Cole. I remember there were floods, but I don't remember anything definite about
That
it.
stuck out in your mind about them. How about telephones? Early telephone.
I mean, 1174W.
You still remember?
Yeah.
Did you?
It was a party line.
Did your dad have a radio?
Oh no. Oh, that was later, much later. Oh no. But we did have a telephone.
And you had the Gazette, the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Did it come in the morning or the evenings?
I think it came at night.
Motion pictures. Did you ever get the opportunity to go to the movies on Saturday afternoon downtown to the matinees?
Yes, but not on Sunday.
Not on Sunday. No, not on Sunday.
But yeah, we did go to the ISIS on 2nd Avenue. The Rialto.
Were they talkies or silent movies?
Silent.
Silent movies. Do you recall any favorites that you
No.
had seen? How about parks? Was any of the parks in Cedar Rapids
Beaver.
special to you?
Beaver Park was very important. It was very important. We were there a lot, Beaver Park.
Did they have quite a large zoo at that time?
No, not very much. But they had a lonely wolf, and I got very well acquainted with the animals. They had the same big cages, kind of, not underground, but
Mhm.
what do I want to say? But anyway,
You were talking about you were an outdoor girl and you liked animals. Did you have a treehouse?
yes, I did have a
Did you
treehouse
really?
in the backyard, yeah, where the garage is now. Yeah, I did have a treehouse.
Who did you play up there with? Your girlfriends, or
Well, it was the neighborhood.
you let boys up there
Yep,
too?
Yep, that was fun. The treehouse was fun. Did you have one?
Yes.
Weren't they fun?
Yes.
You felt so superior and kind of in charge of things. That was fun.
Especially if you went
I
up
hadn't
there.
thought of that for a while.
Especially if you went up there on a windy day like today, and the wind whistling through the trees. Felt like you were on top of the
Yep,
world.
you did.
The symphony orchestra. Did you have any association? I know later in life, and we'll talk about that later. Your husband.
Yes, he played in it.
Well, we can mention that now.
No, I didn't. We didn't go to the symphony orchestra until then, when I was married.
What instrument did your husband play?
Violin.
Violin.
We were divorced, later, so I don't really dwell on that too much.
Circuses.
Oh my, I have to think about this. They were terribly exciting. I'll have to come back to
What
that.
did you find exciting about them? Do you remember the animals?
Oh yes, and unloading in the morning. We'd get there early and watch them unload.
Would your dad take you down there so you could see
No, I
them?
think the neighbors did.
That was a pretty big event.
Oh, it was. It was terribly exciting.
Do you remember where they unloaded?
No. Do you know?
No, I'm not sure. As a young girl, how about dances, Roby? Did you go to dances when you were in high school?
Sure.
Did you?
Mhm.
Were they school events or did
Yes, school events.
there
I
was?
belonged to the ASAs, and that was Alpha Sigma Alpha, and that was a group like a sorority in high school. And It was very well known. And we would have dances.
Do you remember any Chautauqua events
I
that you
remember
went
a lot
to?
about it. Now let me think.
Did they have them in a tent someplace?
Just a minute. There was a lot about Chautauqua because my father's students would be doing that in the summer, and they'd come to see him. And we would be entertaining them in the house, talking about Chautauqua.
This was an educational type of
Oh,
cultural
yes.
thing
Oh,
that
yes.
would travel the country in the summertime.
Mhm. Very educational. Very proper.
Green's Opera House.
Yeah, I was there. I don't have too many memories of that because when did it fold up?
I am not too sure, but did you have a graduation there?
Yes, I graduated.
High school
from there. That's
graduation?
right.
Yeah.
So I ought to remember.
Maybe in 1927?
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Had you ever been to the Green's Opera House to see an event, a play or a movie, or is that the first time you were in there?
No, I skipped school, and you see, I went to Washington High School, and they were having something in the afternoon, and there was another girl and I dared each other if we'd go to that in the afternoon, and it was the worst thing you could do, you know, and so we did.
Did your dad know about that?
Well, he might have known about it later.
He
but
probably wouldn't have
no,
approved it. Do you remember the Douglas Starch-Works explosion?
Sure. We were running outside and looking and seeing it in the sky
Where were you living at
on
this time?
Fifth Avenue and 2018 Fifth Avenue. And we were having dinner and the explosion, and we rushed up from the table and outdoors, and there it was. We could see it on the west side there. And my father was pretty upset and pretty excited. And so was Mother, for that matter, because we didn't want anyone, wondered if anyone was hurt.
Yeah. You would have been about 10 years old then.
Mm-hmm.
In the summertime, did you ever have did you have swimming pools when you were young? Did you ever go swimming in the
country
summertime?
club was, when was that built?
The
That-
coun-
I was much older. Where did we ever go to first? Let me think of it. Were we ever in the Brucemore pool, I wonder? We might have been in the Brucemore pool.
Wouldn't that have been when the Douglases lived there? You probably never went swimming in the Cedar River.
No, oh
That
no.
was a no-no.
No, we never did.
Do you remember the Cherry Sisters?
Yes, but I'm trying to think what I remember about them. I remember them on the stage at Cole, and they were singing and trying to dance.
How old would you have been?
I wasn't very old then, because I wish I had been older. I would remember more, because they were so famous.
What did you think about them? Did you have an
We
opinion?
thought they were awfully funny.
You had mentioned to me that you bought a house from them, the Cherry Sisters.
Yeah, wait a minute. I have to bring that back. What house? Did I mean my father or when I was married? I wonder.
I would probably thought it was your father.
Yes. Now it was on 2nd Avenue. I don't remember anything more, but we did. I'm not very good. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Don't let it bother you. In the wintertime, what did you do? Did you ice skate?
Oh yes, on the pond, on the Douglas Pond.
The Douglas Pond?
I've been doing that for years.
Did you ever
On the river, I skated on the river too.
Did you at the Cedar River?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
That was pretty exciting.
Whereabouts would that have been? Down at Ellis Park? Or
Yes,
down?
Ellis Park.
Uh-huh. Did Mrs. Douglas, would she ever invite you in for hot chocolate at the when you skated on their pond up there?
I don't think she was there then. I don't remember Mrs. Douglas being there. I remember her daughter being there when we skated. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm not very good.
Okay. You're good, because if we didn't think you were, we wouldn't be here.
That's right.
That was before you interviewed me.
How about Christmases? Do you remember Christmas?
Oh, it
was they a fun
wonderful.
time when you were a young girl?
It was marvelous.
Was your dad and folks into decorating the house?
Oh, yes. We decorated the tree at Christmas Eve.
Was your dad a fun sort of person, or was he
Yes.
serious?
He had a wonderful sense of humor, marvelous sense of humor. And when I had classes at the college, we had this great guffaw laughter, and they would say, "Oh, there's Hickok again." He would crack jokes.
Oh.
No, he had a wonderful sense of humor, marvelous.
Was your folks a church-going family?
Oh, very. He was my grandfather was a Presbyterian minister in Cleveland, and my father was brought up that way, and so we were very active in the Congregational church.
So Sundays were a very special day.
Yeah, I couldn't play cards or skate or anything like that. Too bad.
Did they take you to church every Sunday?
Oh yes, we always went to church.
Did you have a Sunday school?
Yes. And Wednesday night they went to.
4th of July's, were they a special day?
Oh yes, that was wonderful. I got up early and shot off firecrackers in the street. I bet it was for you too, wasn't it?
Yes. What firecrackers were probably legal then?
I remember having them.
Where would your dad have purchased those firecrackers? What kind of a store? A hardware store? A grocery store? Or did they have fireworks stands around the 4th of July?
I can't remember.
You recall?
I think in stores, weren't
Were they little lady fingers, or
they? Yeah,
did they get bigger than that?
we had a lot of and salutes.
Mhm. Did they ever have parades? They take you downtown to see
Oh
the
yeah,
parades?
yeah. Great.
Very patriotic.
Let's see if there's anything about them that I remember. I don't remember anything particular.
Did you ever recall going over to the Riverside Park for any of those festive occasions, 4th of July or anything?
I remember our dog was so worried on 4th of July. We had a wonderful dog that I call my brother, and on 4th of July we'd put him in the house because he'd be so upset. He was a dog that looked just like the Victrola dog.
So, young Roby, where'd you get the name Roby?
Well, when I was born, my sister, who was 5 years older, she kept saying my name was Rosebud, and my real name's Eliza, and so unfortunately, I was Rosebud quite a while, and then I had the zoo in the backyard, and they shortened it to Roby, fortunately, so it came from Rosebud, because she said I looked like one.
And you went what high school?
Washington.
Old Washington High School. You remember the year?
Well, I think I graduated in 28, didn't I?
27, I think.
27.
Do you have any memories of the old Washington High School?
Oh yeah, how it smelled.
because of the trains, all the trains you mean?
Oh, well, yeah, it just smelled. The way it smelled. The trains would go by just when we were having class, and we'd have to stop, especially if we had a class on the first floor, and the train would go by.
Was there a large amount of trains going through?
Oh yes, a lot of them.
So it was probably very disruptive to
Well,
the
very. I would think
students
so,
and the teacher.
but kind of exciting too. We'd wave to all the people all looking out of the windows in the train.
Were you in sports in high school? Did you partake in any sports?
I was a tennis player.
Tennis? Did you pursue that for many years, or
Golf
just in
and
high school?
Yeah, I think I did. And golf. I don't know if I played golf in high school. I don't know if I did. We belonged to the country club when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
My father joined it so I could play out there. And so I guess I did.
Do you remember the Depression? Anything about the Depression?
Oh, yes. You don't forget that.
Any memories stick out in your mind?
Well, I have to think about it. Let me think just a minute. Give me a hint on what I should be thinking about.
Well, your dad probably had a pretty stable job, didn't he? Teaching.
Oh, yeah, but they didn't get paid every month. The professors sometimes didn't get a salary. Didn't get their salary.
Because of economic times.
Mhm.
Tell us about your dad.
Oh, he was such fun. He was. Have you seen a picture of him? Oh, here's one.
Can you pick that? Tell us about your dad. He was a science.
No, he was in economics.
Economics?
American government.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Western Reserve University and got his PhD and came to Cohen not
Five.
That's right. And there weren't too many PhDs then. He got from Western Reserve, and he taught government, and he had a tremendous sense of humor, and he was a good teacher.
Yeah.
He liked to teach too.
And they named a hall after
Hickok Hall.
Hickok Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So he must have been quite highly thought of.
Yes, he was very much beloved. We had a lot of fun about Hickok Hall. I'd say, "I'll see you over at Hickok," and he'd laugh. It was funny.
So he was still living when they named it Hickok.
Oh yes, he took part in accepting the name. I remember that afternoon. They had a big to-do.
Jumping ahead a little bit, years later, you were gracious enough to give them some money to renovate the theater in the building, and they named it after you, the Kesler.
They did?
Kesler Theater.
I've forgotten that. Kessler.
The Kesler Theater.
How nice of them to do.
I hope I had that right.
I hope you did too.
Because I seen the picture of you sitting in the theater at the time they were dedicating it to,
Oh, really?
to name it the
Wow.
Kesler Theater.
And it was me.
Mhm.
It wasn't my
Yes.
friend or anything.
Roby, in 1939, you went to Northwestern
To get my master's.
to get a master's degree.
I'd been on the Gazette before that.
Well, let me back up a little bit. In 1931, you graduated from Cole, and you had a major
In journalism.
journalism.
But I worked for the Gazette all the time I was at Cole.
Oh, on the job, like on the job numbers.
Yeah, they'd measure my stories
Mhm.
and get paid that way. So when I graduated, I was offered a job there, and which was nice.
Do you recall writing an article about tree houses?
Tree houses? No, did I?
Yes, you did. I had read it down at the library.
Was it good?
Very good. Very, very good.
You would have to say so.
So then in 39, you went to Northwestern.
Was it?
To get a master's degree?
Was it 39 or 38?
39 or 38, that's close enough. And then, what did you have in mind? Did you want to stay in journalism?
Well, yes, for a while I thought I wanted a job in Chicago, and I wanted to stay in journalism.
But
I was offered a nice job at the Gazette, so I came back. I think I had some love interest at that time, too.
But you did take a job in Chicago.
Oh, yes. Oh, I did. I was in Chicago quite a while. I lived near the hotel, what's the hotel I'm thinking
I don't know, there's
Palmer House?
of? What'd you say?
Palmer House. That's
Oh, I
Palmer.
thought you said whorehouse.
No, Palmer House. Excuse me.
I thought, my goodness, my hearing isn't too good, is it?
I'm sorry.
That's funny. No, I lived just off the drive, a few feet off the drive, on Division Street. And I worked for Louis G. Cowan Company, who had the Quiz Kid radio show. He was a wonderful man. He was the instigator of new shows in Chicago. He was very much respected and revered, Louis G. Cowan.
And you were the program manager, program director?
Yeah, so I was hired to do the Quiz Kid show.
What was your...
Well, I auditioned the children and picked out the children. We had the children all over Chicago, all the public schools. They were all sending in hopes to get in, and I auditioned about 10 every week. And out of that, I'd get about one who was, I can tell you all about it, who was quick, who thought fast, who was a quick thinker, who had a sense of humor, who was modest, who didn't talk too much, but did talk. Oh, there was a lot of them that I did. So I auditioned these every week. I'd audition, and we'd get about one out of that.
They would come to the studio.
Yeah, and they'd come to the studio, and we'd put them behind a microphone, and then I'd go into the control room and listen to their voices on the mics. And but we'd only get about one. But they were wonderful children, marvelous children.
Gifted.
Very gifted. And some were cocky. I wrote them out. And were slow thinkers, and they didn't come.
How long, if they were chosen and if they were good, how long could they expect to be on the program? Just one program?
No. We had 5 altogether, and then 3. Let's see, how did it work? We had 5 every week, and 3 would change every week. So they might be on a couple of years if they were awfully good. And now, like Richard Williams was on forever. He was a marvelous child, and he was so smart. He was just had a humor and was modest and everything that we wanted. He was on for a long time until he was 16. Then he had to go off. And I think I auditioned him when he was 11 or 12. So he was on quite a while.
You don't recall what he went on to become, do you, later in life?
He was an engineer.
Did you follow up on many of them?
Well, they were awfully good. Yes, that's the story, I think.
You wrote a book.
Yep. Hope Mifflin published it.
And this was about
The Quiz Kids.
gifted children.
Yep. That I knew and what they did and how I got them. That sometimes they'd write in themselves and say, I got A and I like this and I like that, and I would like to be on the show. And or their teachers would write. Then I'd have to investigate them, and then if they kind of held up, well, then I'd have them to come down to be auditioned. And I auditioned 5 every week, and sometimes 10, with microphones. And then I'd go in the control room and see how they sounded. And then I would have the questions written out, and I'd have somebody throw these questions at them with humor, and we'd have what was known as a discussion question, or something about your parents or something, you know, they would talk about it. And that was good. It showed their humor.
You were in your early 30s, so this was a pretty good job.
Yeah, it was very good. It was a very good job.
How much did they pay you to start with? Do you remember? When you first started for them?
I don't remember, but I know it was one of the best jobs in Chicago.
In the book, did it do quite well?
Very well.
Do
Holt
you-
Mifflin did it.
Do you still have that?
Yeah.
Copy
You
of
want a
that?
copy?
I would love to have a copy to read.
I just go and get it.
No, we'll get
right.
it later. In doing this job, you had to become quite well known. Surely you made acquaintance with other radio personalities in that time?
Well, every year we had, Jack Benny would be on our show, we'd be on his show, then we'd be on so-and-so show, and they'd be on, like Fred Allen. We were the top, we had the top rating, so they wanted to be with us, you see, to get top rating. So we didn't have any trouble getting people on our show, keeping them off. So that was fun to work with the Jack Benny writers and the Fred Allen writers. That was fun for me to sit in on that. And they'd write this show and say such funny things, just hilarious. And there wouldn't be a smile with all this table. They would sit there they would just write it down, it'd be all right. Funny.
So you did this
Yeah, quite a while.
till about 1947.
Yeah, and then I was married.
Then you met this man.
Yeah, well, he kept writing me. I kept having stories in the Gazette and about the show, because after all, it was the best rated show. And so the Gazette wanted stories, so I would dash off a story once in a while with a byline. And he wrote me, and I thought, he said he had 2 children of his own, and he wondered if I had any ideas about what they should be studying. And I thought, my, this is rather boring. And so I didn't pay much attention to that. And another letter would come about his children. So he lived here in Cedar Rapids. He was head of Pinnacle Ford Research. And so he came over. He came over to see Mother and Daddy, and his wife had died when his children were 2 and 3, and they were now 9 and 10. And so then I got acquainted with the children and invited them to come to Chicago, and I put the 9 and 10-year-old on the show as a guest. And so that's how it started.
It was very nice of you to do that.
Well, it was a nice experience for them.
Mm-hmm. And then when did you discover that he had
Well,
other things in mind?
Yeah, I was a little slow on that. I was thinking only of the children. It must have been a year, I guess. He kept coming through. He traveled with Pinnacle Ford. He'd go to New York all the time, and then he'd come back and we'd have dinner. And I remember thinking, should I dress up or not dress up? And I remember, I guess I won't dress up. Why do I have to dress up? So that sticks in my mind. So
This was Dr. Carl
Yeah.
Kessler.
yeah,
And he was the head of the research and development at Pinnacle Ford. What were his children's names?
Carl Jr. and Mary Alice
What's her name today?
Blanchard.
Blanchard.
Mary Alice Blanchard.
Did you have any regrets later on of leaving that good paying
Well, it was
job?
hard to leave it. I might say it was hard to leave it. No, I don't think I had regrets. I was pretty busy because I had to maintain a home right away, you see. We bought this house out on you know where it is.
No, that's
It's I'm right next to Douglas's, Bruce Moore,
Oh.
on the hill. And so, and then I had these 2 children. I was pretty busy.
So you had a ready-made family.
Yep,
when
I was busy.
You become a full-time mom.
Yep, right away.
Yeah.
Then I got pregnant, which was good.
And I think, you remember your son's, the year he was born?
David, well, this year he would have been 51. Can you figure that out?
You had told me earlier, 1950, he was born.
Yeah, that's about right.
To Cedar, just a minute. You must.
A wonderful boss. Louis G. Cowan was a wonderful boss.
Okay, so you and your husband and the 2 children, you come back to Cedar Rapids, and
I came back weekends to visit my parents, and then I'd see Carl and the children.
okay.
Yeah, it was something to live here, though.
Did you get accustomed to the big city life in Chicago?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I walked down every morning. I just love walking down, crossing the river. Yep, I just loved it.
And then I imagine it was quite a slower pace when you come back to Cedar Rapids.
Yes, it was. It was different.
Yeah. One of the things you did, you wrote a couple of biographies,
I wrote a couple of books.
books. One about your dad,
Oh, yeah, that's right. I did write about that one.
and about a John Ely Sr.
Oh, yeah. How'd you get all this stuff? My goodness, you must have been busy. That was he was a marvelous man, John Ely was.
Did you know him personally?
Oh, yes. I was there every morning. I interviewed him every single morning.
When you worked for the Gazette?
Oh, no.
Oh, when you were doing the biography?
Yeah. I wasn't with the Gazette then.
Anyway, you worked with the Jane Boyd Community House.
Yeah, I was on the board.
On the board.
Yeah, I was busy with that. Yeah, I was responsible for the swimming pool.
The Bender Pool.
The Bender pool.
Later, you was the vice president of the board.
Yeah, I did a lot. I enjoyed it too.
And you served on the co-board of trustees.
Yeah, I'm still on that.
You're still on it?
Mhm.
Are you still an active?
I'm active, but I don't have a particular job.
Okay.
I go to all the meetings. Am I on some committees? I've been there so many years.
After the article I read, I can't remember the date of it, but you had been on the board for 40 years.
Yes. It's a long time.
I am going to give you a picture, and I want you to hold it up just like that for Alan. These.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here's...
That was taken in 1955. And
I knew everybody in there, I think. Doesn't John Hamilton look different?
yes, John Hamilton is in the
He's right
second
here,
row
isn't
from the second
he? Yeah.
on the right, on the left. I'm sorry, second row on the left. And right behind him is a Mr. Bill Whipple.
Yep.
And right behind Bill Whipple is Mr. Corden.
Horton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bill Horton.
He was with WMT for
Sure,
years.
I knew Bill real well. I knew everybody, I think.
Who was turning around now? Was there any of these that were special friends of yours that you remembered? That?
Can I look at it again?
Yes.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, I would say,
Probably all of them.
yeah, all of them were probably. Yeah, we were a pretty close group. Bill Crawford. Bill, do you know Bill?
Bill Crawford, was he the one that had the Crawford quarries,
Yes.
the aggregate?
I was very close to him. There's Bob Armstrong, I was close to him. But B.D. Silman, very close to him. Yep, we were all pretty close.
Mrs. Arnold, she would have been who? Dwayne Arnold?
Yeah, no, wait a minute.
She's in the center in the bottom row.
Yeah, well, no. My mind has just gone blank.
What family would she have been?
Well, that's it. She's from an old, very distinguished family. Isn't that funny? My mind's gone.
You're
No,
doing
it
very
isn't.
well.
You see it running around anywhere. Oh my. She's somebody you never forget.
Okay, that was Henrietta.
Mm-hmm. Henrietta Dallas. Yes.
We want that straight for the record. Your dad was a professor for 35 years,
Mhm.
from 1905 to 1940.
That's right.
Yeah.
Gee, you've done your homework.
You belonged to the Shakespeare Club
Yes. The Wednesday Shakespeare.
for 10 years.
I still belong.
Do you
I
really?
still go.
What was the function of the Shakespeare?
Well, we
Just to get together, or
Oh no, we studied. We worked. We studied.
subjects? What type of subjects? Shakespeare? Or?
Well, yeah, we studied plays. We'd have 2 or 3 different plays to study for the year. We studied them thoroughly. I mean, then we'd do outside reading, and it was very stimulating, really.
Didn't you served as chairman of the club
Yeah,
for some time,
president.
didn't you?
Yeah, I think it was.
What about
We had a Shakespeare garden. Did you have that?
in Ellis Park?
There isn't anything you haven't got.
In that consisted of?
Well, we planted the flowers that were mentioned in Shakespeare's plays. And then when a member died, we planted one in her memory, flowers in her memory. But always that are mentioned in Shakespeare's plays. And he mentioned a lot of flowers.
Did any of them grow?
Oh yes, it was.
That's the reason I asked. What type of flower possibly were they?
Well, they were perennials.
Oh, okay.
The city did it. The city garden.
Street department,
Yeah,
yeah,
they did
Parks
it.
department?
Yeah, we worked with them. They were very good about that. We furnished the money, and they planted the flowers. We'd go out there every year and have a little ceremony out there for these members who had died.
Very nice. Then you served as a president of the Co-Alumni Club,
Yeah, association. Yeah.
Alumni Association.
Mm.
Did you, were you responsible in putting together class reunions, or?
I don't know. I worked hard. I know that. I don't know whether they were class reunions. I guess so. I know I had to talk a lot.
Did
We had meetings.
football games, would a lot of alumni come home for the?
Oh, yes. I started going to football games when I was in arms. I was carried to football games by my father and mother.
You had mentioned the fact in one of your interviews that you were so young when you went to the football games, you thought the players that were in a huddle, you thought they were praying.
Yes, I always thought that. They probably were.
The truth be known.
Yeah, I did.
Tell us about your life. We have to jump back because I forgot. As a young girl, did you spend a lot of time at the school at Cole?
Yes, I did. Because we couldn't afford a babysitter, and my mother was in lots of organizations and clubs, and so she put me down to the college with my father, who didn't have classes in the afternoon, but he had office hours. So I was always drawing on his blackboard naughty things, so the students would see it when they came in. And it was wonderful way to grow up.
Didn't you live in one of the dormitories?
Yes. Then my father was very ill, and Mother had to take him to California, and they didn't know what to do with me, so they put me, the Dean of Women said, let me have her. So they put me in the dormitory, and I was going to McKinley School. I was that age. And my sister was a freshman in Cole, So I roomed with her. Poor thing, thinking of having to live with your big kid sister. She was a good sport about it. So I lived there while my mother and father were in, well, at least my mother was in California.
So when you grew up and entered Co as a freshman, it was just like old home week.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. Because we had our Sunday dinners every Sunday. We had our Sunday dinners over at the boys' hall at the faculty table, and
That's
so,
where you had Sunday dinner was.
at the boys' yeah. I didn't always want to eat at the faculty table, but I always had to.
And then you were chairman of the Health and Sanitation Commission?
If you say so, I guess I was. I guess I was.
That don't spark any memories?
No, none. Nothing. I hope I did something.
And then when Co celebrated their 125th anniversary, you organized a Women on the Move.
Yes. What was that?
And you brought in 21 outstanding women to the campus.
What was that? Women on the Move. I remember that very well.
That was something you had for the 125th anniversary.
Yeah, I guess I did that.
And it drew like some 25,000 women.
25,000?
That's what the article said. That's a little...
That isn't right.
That is.
We couldn't put them all in the...
Anyway, you don't remember that...
Could I call you up later when it comes to me?
No, we'll just pass it up.
I was awfully busy though. I worked hard. I know that.
You spearheaded the endowment for the Co Library.
Yeah, I guess I did.
I got more. In 1989, you initiated the Thursday Forum.
Oh yes, I did. We still have that.
And what was this?
The Thursday Forum? Was that every week?
These were community members that would gather and...
Well, it was a class. Thursday Forum. But I'm not too sure. I was trying to bring the city and the onto the campus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this was, well, we meet every week now for these lectures at the college, and that's a continuation of what I started, of the community coming onto the campus to learn. The Thursday Forum, I can't remember the Thursday Forum. I have to work on that.
Later, they named a newly remodeled auditorium, Eliza Kesler Hall, in your honor.
Ed Hickok?
Yeah, in Hickok Hall.
You worked hard.
You were a very active lady. Was
Well-
this by choice or you couldn't say no?
Well, I think by choice. But I think I came by it naturally. My mother and father were very active too. My mother did a great deal in the city. She was on the school board. And my father was, I think it was a home where you expected to do quite a bit for the community.
So it's just kind of second nature to
Yeah.
you that you just accepted the responsibility
Yeah.
and
I think so.
they knew you were capable of it and you had the knowledge. And did you ever, later years, when you started to slow down, did you ever do any traveling? Do you have any hobbies?
Well, we traveled around the world a couple of times.
You and your husband, Carl?
Mhm. We had a daughter that lived over, was a missionary and lived over in, I can't remember where she lived, a place you never heard of.
Did you
We went to see her.
Did you take any vacations with the family?
Oh yeah, we went fishing every year.
Did you?
My father and I were great fishermen, and we fished in Spirit Lake. We went every year to Spirit Lake to fish.
Did you have a cottage up there that you
No,
would
we
rent?
rented one.
Rent a cottage?
Mm-hmm. It was a swab cottage. It was really a nice cottage. Yeah, we did that every year. Took our dog up.
And you like to fish, I
Oh
take it.
yeah, I still do. You?
Yes. It didn't bother you to put worms on the hook?
Oh
or-
no, or take them off. Oh no, not a bit. No, none of that yet. Yeah, I can still do it.
When you and Carl got married, did you continue fishing? Or
Oh
did
yes,
you-
because he liked to fish. But I taught him a few things too. Yeah, we fished quite a bit.
Did you ever go to Canada?
Yes, I've been to Canada. Yeah, we went to Canada a couple times to fish.
Did you ever camp out when you went fishing? Or you went
No,
to
we
Canada?
really, I never knew much about camping out. Make a better story, wouldn't it?
You had a passionate hobby about birds, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I grew feathers. It started when I was about 10, I think, or 11. I was just crazy about birds, and that went on and on and on, and I'd have feeding stations in the yard, and I had a big sign that said, "Welcome all birds," where they could read it. But I learned a lot about birds.
Did you ever go on any bird watching expeditions with bird watchers?
No, I never got that
With
far.
the funny hat and the book and the binoculars?
No, I never did.
You was
Everybody expected me to.
uh,
But I kept track of all the birds I'd ever seen, ever, in my yard, or ever seen any place.
do you remember the quantity, the different types, how many different types you'd possibly seen?
Oh, I don't know that. Then I had a museum, a bird museum.
No, I did not.
You didn't get that part. Oh, I can tell you about the bird museum. And we had stuffed birds, you see, that we got from different places. And then I'd get these birds and I'd take out all their insides and then we'd put them in the museum. We had cases. It was a friend of mine who had a maid's room in the third floor, and we had old china closets, and we put all these birds in these china, and so it looked like a real museum. And we put these bodies in there, and we had a lot of them. So I learned a lot about birds. You don't forget it either.
Did you ever have any desire to be an archaeologist or an anthropologist? Or
No, I wasn't that ambitious.
on a sadder note, your husband Carl passed away in 1977, I think.
I think so.
You remember how old he was at the time?
I think he was just about 80. He'd accomplished a great deal though, at Pelican Ford. He was a chemist, as you know, PhD chemist.
And don't they still have a chemistry lab, quite a large
Yeah.
chemistry lab at Pelican Ford?
Yep.
Because of probably the groundwork he laid
Yeah,
down there.
that's true. He was a nice guy.
Did you know Arthur Collins?
Oh, sure. As I said, we started kindergarten together. Yes, I knew him quite well. I knew both his wives very well, too.
Did you go through grade school together?
Mm-hmm. Went to grade school.
Did he show any exceptional knowledge about mathematics or
Well, I wouldn't really.
gifted, or
I wouldn't really know that.
because you were the same age, you would notice that. When did Arthur start becoming known?
It was probably his last year in high school, and he didn't finish high school, and he just sort of kind of went off. Well, I was very fond of his two wives. I knew both the wives.
He didn't socialize with all the other
No.
kids in school in his
Not
class.
much,
and
no.
He was more
He's-
serious.
Yeah, I can see him now sitting there by himself, kind of in class. Yeah, he was serious.
Did you ever talk to him in later years?
Oh, sure. He came to my house. I'd have little dinners and stuff. He would come, and I went to his house because I knew his wives so well. And yeah, we would talk about it. I can't. You see, I should have remembered more, but I didn't.
Well, you had some fond memories of starting in kindergarten together.
Yep. And his mother was nice. He was quite close to his mother, as I remember.
How about Howard and Margaret Hall?
Oh, they were wonderful neighbors, marvelous neighbors. They'd call up on a weekend and say, "Roby, we're going to leave now. Why don't you come over and use the pool?" They were so good about letting us know when they were going to be gone, or to come up anyway. We felt very welcome up there. They were marvelous neighbors.
Did they ever invite you out to their summer home at
Oh,
the
yeah.
Palisades?
Out in Palisades. Oh yeah, I was up there a lot. Yeah, that was a nice time. We had a nice time.
Is that, I often admired that from the river in a boat
Oh,
looking
yes.
up. Was it nice inside?
Oh, I thought it was lovely. I had a nice time. We always had a good time.
Conger Metcalf.
Oh, I knew Conger pretty well. What about Conger?
Did he become a painter, didn't he?
Mhm.
An artist?
Yes, very good. Do I have anything of his now? I don't know. He was very good.
How about Marvin Cohen?
Oh, I was very close to. Of course, being a faculty child, all the faculty were close together. My father, they lived just down the street from us on Fifth Avenue. So I was very close to Winifred and Doris, his daughter.
Mm-hmm. Grant Wood?
Oh yes, I knew Grant too. I knew him. He was at McKinley School when I was in the office. That was one of my jobs during the Depression. I couldn't get another job. I worked in the office at McKinley. So I saw Grant Wood then.
Which one was famous for wearing bib overalls all the time?
Wasn't it Grant?
Was it Grant?
Mm-hmm.
A Rosemary June.
I didn't know Rosemary too well. She was a pianist, wasn't she?
Soloist.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't. I wasn't out of my line.
You didn't...
I didn't know her very well at all. I just think I knew Art very well because we were the same age, and I knew his wives very well with his wives. And I remember my one wife was sitting in front of my fireplace, and I remember her sitting there, and she said, "Roby, it's a full-time job to be the wife of Arthur Collins." I remember that so well. She was kind of done in at the moment.
Dr. Ted Lilly.
Well, I was very fond of him. We had a good relationship. He squired me around.
Oh, he was a boyfriend.
Yes, he was a boyfriend, yes.
How old were you then?
About 60. No, it wasn't very long ago. I hadn't been gone very long.
What did he do?
He was a minister of the First Presbyterian Church. I was in safe hands.
Do you remember World War I, Armistice Day?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I remember that. What we did, you mean we went downtown? Everybody got terribly excited. My family were so excited, and they weren't usually the kind that got that excited. And we went downtown, and then we came back, and we talked. What did we do besides march around? I remember people marching in the streets.
Do you remember doing any type of anything for the war effort?
Oh, I knitted, tried to, knitted terrible looking washcloths and stuff like that. Tried to make mittens, which didn't work out very well.
They were doing similar things that they did in World War II for the
Knitting,
war effort.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you remember any of your favorite stores your mother, way back when your mother used to take you downtown? Any that stick out in your mind? Department stores? Remember Denike's?
Oh, sure.
What would you go to Denike's for?
Well, it was like Martin's. And, well, that was just a regular like Killian's.
Was Gillian's in existence at that time when you
I
were a
think
young
so.
girl?
Mm-hmm.
Armstrong's?
Mm-hmm. And Denike's.
Smoolikoff's?
I don't remember Smoolikoff's so well. I bet they were, though.
Furniture store?
We were Armstrongs. We knew Robert and Esther Armstrong very well. We knew the family very well.
Roby, at the History Center, we have done a lot of work with George Henry, the photographer.
Oh, yeah, he's a nice guy.
You had seen him around the Cole campus.
Oh, for a long time. Yeah, a long time. Yep. He's all right.
You have some lovely family pictures here that we'd like to show of your dad,
I got a nice one of my mother, too.
taken in 1920.
Mhm.
That's your dad.
That's what I said.
Mhm. Hold it
He
straight.
was a good professor.
Fine, got it.
And she was a good school board member.
Okay. And this was your mother,
My mother.
a lovely lady.
My father got his PhD from Western Reserve. My mother went to a girls' college in Ohio.
And they met, where did they meet? In Cedar Rapids?
Well, he came to teach in her hometown in Ohio, and Green Springs it was called. And she fell in love with him, and he with her. And then they came out here in 1905, 9.
Wow.
Hold that up in front of you. That's your son, David.
Yep. Well, I have another picture of David somewhere.
This is your son, David, with his children
Yep.
and their grandma,
Yep.
Roby.
Yeah, there's David. He's outdoors more than he's indoors. He's a biologist, really a biologist.
Is he a, did you say he was a professor?
PhD, yeah.
PhD in biology. Is he the outdoors type like his mother?
Yeah, he's outdoors typist. He's lots of fun. He's got his grandfather's sense of humor. He's lots of fun. And he's got his father's brains, so that's a good combination.
And this is a picture of your husband, Carl, and, well, the whole family there.
Yes.
Your son,
in front
David.
Of a fireplace.
Your son, David, sitting
Yeah.
in Carl's lap.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Carl's two children sitting on the
Yeah.
floor.
Here they are.
Uh-huh. You want to hold it up again? Very nice.
Their children are very bright.
What are they doing today?
Well, getting very dramatic.
That's nice. Do you have any?
He's in research in California. Mary Alice isn't doing anything but having 3 bright children. I
Any-
was lucky.
Anything else you want to mention? If not, we're going to bring this to a close.
I would think so. I think you've been very patient.
Roby, if you had your life to live over again, would you have done anything different? Or
Oh my, I have to think about that.
Was there anything that you wished you could have accomplished and you never did?
Well, I wanted to write a book, and I did that.
Mountain climbing?
No. I had a baby, and I wanted that.
Flying a plane?
No, I didn't.
You had no desire?
No. Well, might have liked something dull.
Roby, unless you have any other memories, the Cedar Rapids Historical Society, the Linn County Historical Society would like to thank you very
I'm awfully
much.
proud of being in Cedar Rapids, I can tell you that. We have a wonderful city. Don't we?
We sure do,
we
yep.
sure do. Thank you very much for sharing your memories with us.
I'd like to know more about you, though. Where were you born?